Welcome to this presentation. This is the Yogi greeting, Namaskar, and I'm Acharya Vedaprajinananda Avaduta. People call me Dada Vedaprajinananda or Dada Veda, it doesn't matter. And today I'm going to go through something which is called Ashtanga Yoga, or the 8 limbs of yoga. Some time back I did a video of this. It was 6 minutes or something like that. And I've covered it, and it seemed to be very popular on YouTube. Many people saw it, and they said that it helped them. But that's only 6 minutes, and this is a subject which requires something more than 6 minutes. So I have a slideshow which will turn into a video now, and I think this will give more information on the subject, especially for those who were interested in that short video that I did. So as I began, when I did that video, I want to say something which is important. You know, Ashtanga Yoga is today, some people have branded it as a certain type of, basically a certain type of Hatha Yoga or physical yoga. But really, Ashtanga Yoga refers to the 8 limbs of yoga, which were codified by Patanjali over 2,000 years ago. Because yoga is something which is actually is older than 2,000 years, but 2,000 years ago, or a little bit before that, Patanjali put them in a certain order, a certain structure, which is widely appreciated and followed today. So I want to go through them because they're very useful. It's very useful to know what are the steps of yoga. So we can begin, and if you have any questions or comments, you'll have to, because this is not live, you'll have to put them in the comments box, or you can send me an email. I'm always happy to answer questions about this subject. It's a fascinating subject. So let's get into it. So what is yoga? Yeah, this is a big question. What is yoga? So what I say is that yoga is the science of human development. It's the science of human development, meaning to become a full human being, physically, mentally, and spiritually. And that's just what's coming up on the screen there. So what are the steps that we can take that will satisfy us physically and mentally and reach us to the spiritual goal, to find out who we really are? So this is what yoga is really about. So the ultimate goal of yoga, I said to know who you are, but even more than that, it's the union of the individual consciousness with the supreme consciousness. This is why they gave it yoga. The meaning, yoga means union itself. That's why it has that terminology. That's why we call it yoga, because we want to unite my small self with the big self, the cosmic, the individual self with the cosmic self. Individual consciousness with cosmic consciousness. So this is what we're trying to do. Now, the question is, how are we going to get there? That's a big, because anyone can write a book and tell you what, but you have to have some steps if you want to get to such a goal, to develop yourself physically, mentally, and then even to reach the union with the Supreme. So how do we do that? So most people, of course, if you go out on the street and you say, what is yoga? And people will tell you that it means physical exercise. So they're not wrong, because that's part of yoga, but it's a part. It's just a part of it. So it's just a part, it's an important part, and I'm going to talk about that, what that part is. But really, there are 8 steps which combine these physical practices with other steps which are working on the psychological or psychic plane and on the spiritual plane. So it's important to know all of these steps. So here's something which, if you go out on the street, people will have an idea about, but not clearly. Proper conduct is the base of yoga. You have to have good conduct to be a yogi. I think people generally understand that. That's generally understood. But the exact structure of of yoga's code of conduct is overlooked, and that's a shame because it's very important. So we're not going to overlook it here. We're going to look at that. So what is that? So the first limb of yoga is called Yama. And Yama means controlled conduct, and which aims to bring you into harmony with the society. So these steps that we're going to talk about are things, whatever you do in them, they help you to maintain cordial and proper relations with the people around you. So it's very important to learn this kind of conduct. So there are 5 steps in this process, and we call it Yama sadhana. Sadhana means perfection, striving, effort. And Yama means that which controls. So it's the controlling conduct which leads us to perfection. That struggle to do that is called Yama sadhana, that effort to get that kind of perfection. So what is the steps in Yama? And I'll go through them quicker than I did in the video, which I did some time back. But if I would really go into this fully, it would take up the whole time that I want to devote to this whole presentation. So for now, we're going to go in between what I did the last time and what I would maybe one day we'll do just only on the Yama and only on Niyama. We can spend an hour, 2 hours easily, but we're not going to do that now. But we're going to go through them in some detail. So ahimsa is the first principle. It means not inflicting injury or pain on others consciously, that's a big thing there, by thought, word, or deed. So if unconsciously you drop something and hit someone's toe, that's not against ahimsa. It was not intentional. But when we have intention, that is important. So intentionally, we shouldn't inflict pain on others. And sometimes, what you say is worse than what you do. Sometimes your words are harsher than if you hit somebody. So we have to control that also. So this is what we have to do. But ahimsa is a big, big subject. Even I could spend an hour, we can discuss ahimsa, because ahimsa is often misunderstood. Sometimes it's equated with total nonviolence. Like, in fact, some branches of the Indian religion, such as Jainism and Buddhism, even have sometimes had very extreme ideas of ahimsa. Like the Jains wouldn't even plow their fields, because if they plow their fields, then they might kill a worm. But it's not practical. In fact, even the Jains, they pay other people to plow the field. So that's not really a practical interpretation of ahimsa. So we need a practical interpretation. And there are many things about ahimsa, whether we should kill animals or not. Animals also suffer. Should we inflict pain on them? So my teacher told me, and when I tell others, he said you should think 100 times before you kill an animal, whether you really have to do that. So I'll leave that up to you. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but if you can follow ahimsa to a higher degree, it's better. But you can't take it to the degree of the Jains, where you can work in your garden, and you can't also take it to the degree where if someone slaps you or hurts your family and you just stand there and do nothing. So according to this interpretation of ahimsa, you're allowed self-defense. So it's as you can see, it's a nuanced subject, and we can go on a long time talking about ahimsa. But still, the first thing you have to remember if you want to be a good yogi, a proper yogi, is you're not going to hurt others intentionally. Then the second one is called satya. So what is satya? Action of mind and the right use of words to bring about welfare. Now, if you went out on the street in India and you asked people what is satya, they will immediately, it's usually satya means truthfulness. It's one meaning of it. But here, we're talking about the right use of words to bring about welfare. So generally, to be true and to say the proper thing is helpful and is good, and you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't willfully tell lies. But suppose someone comes to you and they say, where is such and such is in your house, and that person's at the door, and that person says, I want to hit him over the head. So you say, such and such left 2 hours ago. It's not true, but it's for that welfare of that person. So we have to use our thought and our mind, our speech, to bring about welfare. Another way to call this, we sometimes call it benevolent truthfulness. But this is a very important concept that we should be thinking always for the welfare of others. And if you do this, then you can't go wrong. And all these other steps in Yama will come easy. So that's why this is one of the most important aspects of this Yama sadhana. So we should, whatever we do, we should do it for the welfare of others and ourselves, the good and happiness of all, we say. And then the next part, asteya. Asteya means non-stealing. So we shouldn't take things which are not our own, whether they be physical or even intellectual, like this intellectual copyright thing issue comes here. So we shouldn't take those things. And we shouldn't also plan to take them. Sometimes people say, oh, that ring looks good, I should take it, but the garden, the jewelry shop will get me. But so that person in his mind or her mind has committed the theft. So we should not commit the theft, either physically or mentally. And there's another kind of theft when we take something which should have gone, that's like the intellectual property right thing, or you sneak into the movie theater or onto the train or the transport. You didn't take any physical good, but you deprive someone of what should have come to them. So we shouldn't do that, and we shouldn't plan to do that. So that's asteya. So that's very important. So then the next one is one which is sometimes confused. So I'll put it up on the screen here. It's brahmacharya. And basically, it means to see God in all things, or if you want to put it another way, to see the cosmic consciousness in all things and to treat all things with respect. So that's why we have the yogic greeting, namaskar, and means I'm saluting not the physical you, but the God that's within you, that divinity that's within you. And we should treat all objects of the universe as divinity, which has come in a certain form. It came in the form of your telephone. It came in the form of your book. So we treat all things with tremendous respect and regard, especially living beings, but all other things, inanimate. So now what is the confusion? If you look for the classical understanding of brahmacharya, it's usually translated as celibacy. But the word brahmacharya has nothing to do with it. Brahma means the supreme entity. Charya means moving. So it means that even while you're moving, you're going to think about the supreme entity. So you're on the move. You're not doing meditation now, but you're on the move. You're driving your car. You're doing this. You're walking. Even then, you have to keep that spiritual idea in your mind. This is brahmacharya. But in the Middle Ages, what happened was some clerics, some religious figures, they said, no, to be brahmacharya, to follow brahmacharya, you have to be celibate. And why did they do that? Because that celibacy gave them a one-up on all the other people who weren't celibate. But it has nothing to do with the real meaning of brahmacharya. Sure, to practice restraint is good. It's part of you can say that could be part of brahmacharya, but total celibacy is only possible for very few people in the society, monks like myself and others, and even that's very difficult. Many are not able to do it. So it doesn't mean brahmacharya, but it means to remain attached to Brahma, to remain attached to Brahma. So in all things, when you're eating and you're talking, you're working in the garden, you're cooking your food, you should think that you're in contact with the cosmic consciousness. Brahmacharya, I often call this like meditation in action. So you should try to do that, and whatever you can. And it's a very important part of yoga. So so you see that this yoga is not just 2 times a day, for 20 minutes. No, it's a total all-out effort all day with your conduct. Now the last part of the Yama section is called aparigraha, and this means not taking more than one needs. I think one word might have been cut off here. So you're not taking more than you really need. You're just living with what are the basic requirements of life and not going for more. So what is the requirements? I can't give a list for each person. It varies according to time, place, and person. I'll give an example. In 1920, or 100 years ago, or 150 years, a car was newly invented. It was a luxury. Today, it's a necessity because you can't go to work, usually in most places, without it. So it became a necessity. But at one time, it was a luxury. So the time changed. But then if you have a 16-year-old boy, he wants a car, or a girl, she wants a car. Well, for that age group, for cars is really a luxury, not a necessity. So it varies according to the time and the place and the person. Yeah, in certain places, the car is not a necessity, but in modern America, it is a necessity. So anyway, if you live according to this way, you're not hurting others, you're treating others, you're speaking the truth and the good words to others and thinking for their welfare, you're not stealing, and you're treating all things around you as if God has come in that form, and you don't take more than you actually need. If you do this, you're going to be in harmony with everyone around you. That's guaranteed. So this is Yama sadhana. So remember this, but more than remembering, you have to put it into action in your daily life. So if there are any questions, just put them in the comments or send me an email, and I'll be happy to discuss them. So let's go on to the second limb of yoga, which is called Niyama. So Niyama sadhana, or Niyama effort, is controlled conduct which will purify you. So here in the Yama, the effort was regarding your relations with others. Now here, the effort is to get a hold of yourself and to make yourself a better vessel for yoga. And the first step is shaucha, and means cleanliness and purity of mind. So cleanliness is cleanliness of the physical body and the environment and like that, but also to keep the mind pure, peaceful and pure. I wrote a song about it. I said, keep the mind peaceful and pure. So keep it peaceful and keep it pure. So how do you keep it? So now we know what to do with the body. Basically you put your clothes in the washing machine, you wash yourself in the morning, and so you know that. But what about the mind? How are you going to do that? So one thing about the mind is we shouldn't degrade the mind, because the mind gets degraded by what we take in. So if you see things which bring your mind down, you hear things which also are not nice, not good, it degrades you. So that's why Buddha even once told his monks, if you see anything which is not good, then don't see it. And if you're going to hear things which are degrading, then don't listen to those things. If you taste something which is not, don't taste it. If you smell something that's not good, don't smell it. And if you have all around self-restraint, you'll overcome all sorrow. This was his instruction to people. And that was 2,500 years ago. It still holds true. So keep your mind peaceful, keep it pure, and keep your body clean and neat and best you can. So this is shaucha, cleanliness and purity. Santosha is contentment. So you should be content with what you have. So it means that you should do your normal work and then be happy with that and then rest. So in the animal kingdom, there are two examples of contentment, one a bad example and one a good example. So the good example is the dog. The dog is an easily satisfied animal. You give it some food, you pat it on the head, it wags its tail, it goes to sleep. Easy. Now, in the animal kingdom, there's the honeybee. The honeybees are not satisfied. They work, and they try to fill the hive. They even have, they take in, they build up more honey than they really even need, and then they die. They don't last very long because they work till they die. So we shouldn't be workaholics like the honeybee. We should be learn how to become contented. This is very important. Now, in the last part I mentioned, you should only take what you need. That was the last step in that section of Yama. If you don't follow that, you're going to find this one, contentment, difficult. So that's why some very, very rich people, if you ask them, are you happy? Are you satisfied? And what do they say? No, I'm not satisfied. So they accumulated too much, and that's why they're not satisfied. So this is something to consider. So learn how to control your taking in, then be satisfied with what you got. Next one is called tapa. Tapa, here we interpret it as service to others, taking the pains of others on yourself. Originally, the real term means penance. Tapa comes from tapasya, to burn in the fire. It means to burn impurities. So how do you burn your impurities? You burn your impurities with by undergoing some kind of physical pain. But what kind of pain is good? When you take the suffering of others upon yourself, or you do service to others. And also, this is a hint for all you guys who are doing meditation. When you stop thinking of yourself, then you're going to enjoy meditation, because that's the biggest obstacle on the path of yoga, and especially on the path of meditation, because you're always thinking, me. Stop thinking of me, and just think of others and serve others, and then you're going to realize something very wonderful. So tapa. So this is part of the path, that take the pains of others on yourself. Swadhyaya is the study and understanding of, it means self-study is a literal meaning, but here we're talking about study and understanding of spiritual books of wisdom. So we should learn from the people who've come before us, and we should study. So that study will help us to grow, and also keep our mind in a very good place. So you should make your effort to do that. Then the last part of the Niyama sadhana is Ishvara Pranidhana, and here it's covered up. Meditating on the Supreme. It's actually making the cosmic consciousness the goal of life. Making that cosmic. So what's your goal in life? You want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, you want to do this, you want to do that. Okay, that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. But the real goal, the real goal is to take shelter in the Supreme. What's your permanent address? You say, I live in Illinois, I live in California, I live in India, I live in Russia. Okay, but where are those places located? Where? They're located on Earth. Where's the Earth? Is in the solar system. Solar system is in the universe. The universe is in the galaxy, but the galaxy is in the cosmos, and the cosmos is really residing in that supreme consciousness. And that's your permanent address, and that's where you want to go. So meditating on that place where we want to go is called Ishvara Pranidhana. Ishvara means the controller of the universe. Pranidhana means to take refuge, to make that the goal. So we want to make that the goal of our life. So this is Yama and Niyama. So if you follow these steps, your life will go very good. And this is the base. All the advanced practices of yoga, you've heard about pranayama and all, we're going to talk about them, but they all depend on this conduct. If you can perfect your conduct and really as good as you can, then you can be in a great place to do all the other practices of yoga. And we're going to look at those other practices now. We're going to, you see, I spent time on this. It's very important. That's the only reason I did. So, okay. So anyway, this is a recapitulation. So by practicing Yama and Niyama, oh, this is also interesting. This is how we get control over the conscious mind. Yeah. So anyway, that's a side benefit of Yama and Niyama. You get control over the conscious mind. And in a later presentation, I'm going to talk about the 5 basic layers of the mind and how to perfect them. But now we're going to come to the 3rd limb of yoga, and this is called asanas, or yoga postures. So this is what everybody knows about yoga, the 3rd limb. So basically, you know what asana means? You might find this unusual because sometimes it's difficult to do, but asana is a posture held comfortably. The reason why they say that is that once you put yourself into the shape of the asana, you don't have to exert any more effort to get into that, to do it, hold it. But there are certain practices which are called mudras and bandhas, and you have to hold the pressure. Like there's one called Uddiyana Mudra where you have to hold your stomach in. So you have to apply effort. But in the asana here, you don't apply effort. And that's the difference between an asana and a mudra or a bandha, which is Uddiyana Bandha is when you hold the stomach in. That's just an example. So what about asanas? We talk about why we should do them. That's the important thing. Okay, I'll explain more, but what they do is, see, asanas, this is interesting, they massage the endocrine glands and help to adjust for secretions of hormones. So actually they have an effect on emotional well-being. So asanas are not just aerobic or calisthenic exercises. They actually, originally they were devised to work on the innermost parts of the body, but they also have effect. Some things which you learn in physiotherapy are similar to what the asanas do, but the asanas were not developed for physiotherapy or things like that. But originally asanas were developed to help people in their secretion of the glands. Yeah, and the asanas also work on the various internal organs. So they help with digestion and elimination of waste and so many other things. And the regular practice of proper asanas helps to preserve health and balance of mind. Now about health. You see, to be a yogi and to practice the 8 limbs is not you can go for a 6-week course or 2-week course or 3-week or whatever. It's not 6 weeks. It's not 2 weeks. It's not 6 months. You have to do it your whole life. So we want to have a long and healthy life. In order to have a long and healthy life, you have to take care of your body. So that's what asanas do. They preserve health. They preserve health. There's even a part of yoga which is curative. You can do asanas combining with diet and fasting and other hygienic practices, and you can even overcome disease. And that's a whole branch of yoga. So it's very important. But we want, if you're not going to at least cure yourself, at least prevent. Prevention is worth more than cure. So if you do proper asanas, you combine it with proper diet and hygiene, proper fasting from time to time, your life will be long. But we want to balance the mind too. And to balance the mind, there are many kinds of emotions, and the emotions come from the glands. So if you control the glands with proper asanas and also proper food, then your mind and body are balanced. And this is the real purpose of the yoga asanas. It's not to lose weight. Although you may lose weight doing it, not to make you look great. You will look, actually, if you're a yogi, you will look great. Why? Because beauty emanates from within. And if you have a good physical structure and you have a good inner structure, you will radiate beauty. And I promise that. Okay, so that's about it on asanas that I want to do now, although, people spend a lot more on that, but I spent more on the Yama Niyama. But anyway, that doesn't mean you're going to neglect your asanas. A real yogi should do it not just once or twice a week in the studio, but every day. So you should get the asanas that you need to keep you trim and slim and help your whole overall constitution and keep you fit, and do them every day. So I'm still doing my asanas. This has been going on for the last 50 years. I've been doing them. And I hope in 50 years from now, you people will also do it. Okay, I think we're going to go on to the next step. So the next step is a very interesting one. So this is the fourth limb of yoga, and this is called Pranayama. And Pranayama means, Yama you've heard before, it means control of prana. What is prana? Control of the vital energy. And this is the vital energy, and this comes through the control of breathing. So what is the vital energy? You know, what's the difference between a dead person and a live person? So chemically, especially right after death, there's not much difference, everything, but something is not there anymore. What is that? The vital energy has left. So that vital energy is prana. It's also called a vayu, or wind. It moves the body in different things. The breathing is there, and the heartbeat, and all these different rhythms, because there's a certain energy that's moving them. So now, but why do we want to control the vital energy? Why do the yogis do this? There's a very interesting secret here. The main function of this control and these exercises which do that is to quiet the mind, and so that we can meditate properly. So how does this quiet the mind? This is really what I find this really fascinating. Okay, but I'll go back. I'm trying to go back. Okay, it doesn't matter. Some kinds of pranayama. Okay, how does it quiet the mind? It quiets the mind because the flow of the breathing is related to the mind. So if I ask the people, I used to do this in the lectures, okay, everyone, listen to the sound of my watch ticking. So then what would happen? Everyone would get quiet and still. And then I say, how were you breathing when you were listening? They said, no, we were not breathing. We had to concentrate. That's the point. When you concentrate, the breathing stops. So if you can stop the breathing, the mind will concentrate. So it works in reverse. So in pranayama, there are certain kinds of exercises where finally the breathing becomes at a standstill, and then the mind is still, and then you can meditate. So that's it. But there is also some other kinds of pranayama which is used in the yogic treatment of disease, where people will think of a certain part of the body and do some breathing and concentrate on that part of the body. So there's a certain healing kind of pranayama. It exists. It can be done. It's not supernatural healing. It works in conjunction with the asanas and diet and other kinds of natural healing. But so now I said when I did the Yama and the Niyama, they control the conscious mind, and pranayama controls the subconscious mind. The conscious mind is the mind where you, I want this ice cream cone, and you think about it, and then you move your hand and you get it and you eat it. That's the conscious mind. And so the Yama and Niyama control that, which is a very good thing. So if you can have more control over, sometimes the conscious mind, even we're not in control. We're conscious, but we're not in control of our own mind, and we do things which we know later we shouldn't have done. So we should control that conscious mind. Now, pranayama controls, or develops, you can say, not controls, develops the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind, and we're going to talk about this in another video, is the mind of where dreams come. And it is so much mental things are going on there. It's a very fascinating thing. So, and memory. So if you do more pranayama, your memory should be better. We'll discuss that at another time. So now let's go on. This is that was the fourth limb. And now we're going to do the fifth limb, which is called Pratyahara. So this is the withdrawal of the senses. So yeah, normally we're just out there. We're thinking of the thing outside the window and the noise in the street and this and that. All the senses are being stimulated by outer things. Now we want to somehow to bring them inner. So how are we going to do that? So it's the withdrawal of the mind from its attachment to the external objects. This is what we want to do. We want to withdraw our mind. How are we going to do that? Now, we have it in our, I'm a monk of the Ananda Marga system. So in that system, during our meditation, we have a system of withdrawal from the world around us. But even if you don't have that system, whenever you meditate, and if you close your eyes, immediately you're going to withdraw like 65%, because that's what the eyes. At least I heard that one time. I have to look up that figure. I wouldn't footnote it. But a lot of stimulation is canceled out just by closing your eyes. And if you sit in a certain position, also you're going to withdraw a certain amount. That's why the yogis used to sit with the folded hands in the lotus position, because it helps to in that withdrawal thing. So this is very important. So you have to learn how to do that, how to withdraw. And so when you learn more meditation, then you're going to learn basically how to withdraw from the world around you. But there's another method of doing it, which is very interesting. This is called the offering of the colors. And it's blocked by my portrait here, I think, at least on my screen it is. And they offered back to the Supreme. So basically, suppose you're meditating. Some of you are meditators, I hope. So when you're meditating, different objects come in your mind. So someone is meditating. Oh yeah, after the meditation class is over, I'm going to go. Finally, I'm going to be able to get my new car, and it's a blue car. So that blue car is in your mind. So it's good. You're going to get it, maybe. Maybe you're not going to get it. Maybe you're only dreaming. But you shouldn't have that attachment while you're meditating. So what we do after meditation, we offer back the colors about whatever they were. We offer them as flowers to the divine, because that's where they came. All your thoughts come from a certain supreme place. They flow through you, and we offer them back. We don't remain attached to them. And by not remaining attached to those thoughts, we're not remaining attached to those objects of the world. So this is called Pratyahara. So we're withdrawing our attention from the stimuli, and we want to bring it within. So this is a very important step in the 8 limbs, to withdraw from the world around us. Okay. So now we're going to go on again. This is quick, I know, but we have to keep some semblance, otherwise people will just run away. So next one is called Dharana. And Dharana means fixing the mind on a point. You can say it means concentration in a word. So in order to meditate properly, one has to fix the mind on a single point. You have to become one-pointed. So normally when you're thinking of so many things. But now in meditation, I'm not going to ever tell anyone, think of nothing. That's not possible. But you can think of one thing. And you can limit your thought to one thing. Although it won't stay on one forever. It will jump, and you have to come back. It will jump. But still, that effort to stay in one thought and one place. Actually, Dharana means a point, a place, actually. That's really important. So we'll talk about the point. So what point should you meditate on? So In my system of meditation, Nanda Marga, we meditate, on one point, which is where the mind becomes pinnacled. So these points are usually, they correspond to higher chakras, because these are the chakras, higher chakras are the chakras which are the spiritual part of the body. So what we have to do in meditation is to bring the mind to one point, and that is your point for meditation. So we call it a pinnacled mind. So like you've seen a mountaintop, a sharp mountaintop, that's the pinnacle. So normally when you exist in this world, what do you think? Oh, I'm in my toe, I'm in my knees, I'm here. No. When you meditate, we withdraw from the world, but also from the body, and then we bring the mind to one point. So that's Dharana. You have to have that capacity to bring the mind to one point. This is a very important thing. I mean, you have to learn it. And all of this is just done by practice. We learn these things. Nobody is born with perfect concentration. I guarantee that. Well, it could be a prodigy. Beethoven was born, as people were born as musicians. So there are people born yogis also. They exist, but most people, 99.999% of people are not born with that skill of a pinnacled mind. But there's another kind of dharana, and this is concentration on the chakras and the factors which they control. So there are certain chakras, and the first 5 chakras control solid, liquid, and luminous, aerial, and fire factors, and even the sound factor, sonic factor. There are 5 factors. So these first 5 chakras control these the first 5 chakras are involved with these factors, physical factors, and by concentrating on these chakras, we get the mastery. Imagine if you could become the mastery of all the liquids and all the solids in you, and all the combustion, the luminous, and the sounds. You get control over those things. They're not going to bother you in meditation. So we teach a certain kind of concentration of dharana, but you're concentrating on the chakras to get mastery over these factors so they won't disturb you. So that's what it's all about. But dharana means fixing the mind on a point, bringing the mind to one point. So this can be done in meditation, or it can also be done on certain chakras to help you to gain mastery over the chakra and over the factors which the chakras are connected with. And this is another thing that goes on here, I think. Let's see. Okay, we're going to go to Dhyana. But so Dhyana, so it's Dharana. Now we go to Dhyana. Dhyana is a meditation on the Supreme, and Dhyana actually is the Sanskrit word for meditation. Dhyana. That's why Dhyana, when it went to China, became Chan or Jan. And then when it went to Japan, it became Zen. But they all have the same root in Dhyana, whether it be Chan or Zen or Dhyan. It comes from that Sanskrit word. So Dhyana is the 7th limb of Ashtanga Yoga, and it means pure meditation, when the mind flows an unbroken stream towards the cosmic consciousness. And this is what we call Dhyana. So it's an advanced practice. You have to get mastery of Dharana, which came before it. You have to be able, because you have to bring the mind to a point in order to make it flow. I can't teach it to you online. It's a complicated process. But it depends on all the others. All the others build up. You can't just come to, I want to do this one. And if you neglect the others, you have to start and learn how to put your shoes on and your socks on, with the Yama and Niyama. And then you have to learn all the basics, and it's going to take a long time. That's why you have to maintain your body, so you're going to be around by the time you get to the 7th step. And then this is what you have to do, and then you're going to learn how to control the vital energies, and you're going to learn how to withdraw the mind. So many things have to be done, but once you have done those and you built this base, then you can do this meditation on the Supreme Consciousness, and you will enjoy it. People enjoy this, although it's a difficult path to get there, but you can do that, and it doesn't take. You don't have to go for years and years. If you're diligent, it can be done fairly quickly, but you have to practice. There's no way out of it. You can't just read a book or watch this video. You have to do some practice. Okay, now we're going to come to the 8th limb. This is Samadhi. Samadhi is absorption in a bliss. So the goal of yoga is to experience the blissful union of individual consciousness with supreme consciousness. So this state is called Samadhi. In Zen, they sometimes call it Satori. There are different states, of mind, higher states of mind, where people experience ecstasy, they experience bliss, they experience transcendence. So this state of bliss comes, and sometimes people are meditating, they can't even stand up anymore because they lose consciousness of the body. And there are two basic kinds of samadhi, and one is where someone feels, my mind is one with, I am the cosmic consciousness. I am the cosmic because the mind becomes one with the cosmic mind. I am the cosmic consciousness. I am the cosmic. So that person becomes one with the cosmic consciousness. But there's still one thing there. The I is still there. Not this I, not that I, but the I feeling, I is still there. But then there's another kind of samadhi, and the person goes out, and the mind also goes out, and the person doesn't have any consciousness of I, only of thou. If you look at it in religious terms, only the thou is there, not the I. And that person is in a state of ecstasy. And only when they wake up from it, they realize that they were in that state. It's as if you fell asleep in the rain. When you fell deep asleep in the rain, you didn't feel the rain. But when you got up, it was all wet. Then you say, oh yeah, I think I was in the rain. So these people, when they wake up from that bliss, they say, oh yeah, I must have been in that bliss, because they have waves of the bliss is trailing on them, just like you have the little bit of the moisture is still there. So they have that moisture, but it's the spiritual moisture is with them. So I've gone through them. These have been the 8 limbs of yoga. And let's see what I have. If I have another slide here, I don't even know. Oh, that was it. So I'll just go through it. We went through the Yama and the Niyama. These are 1 and 2. So, and you have to learn the 5 parts of Yama, 5 parts of Niyama, and really not just learn them, you have to practice them. And then you should do your asanas every day, and then you will go on to the Pranayama. Pranayama is actually it's an advanced practice. You won't learn it. You shouldn't learn it immediately. It should come in a proper time. But anyway, that's another point. We can discuss it another time. You do your pranayama and your pratyahara, and you will sit in meditation and learn how to withdraw. And then you learn dharana and bring the mind to one point. And then you dhyana, and that your mind will flow with the cosmic consciousness, and then you will reach samadhi. So we did it in 49 minutes. That's all, but it takes longer than 49 minutes. It will take longer than 49 minutes. But this is the theory of it, and you can go through the video of it, and you can ask me some questions if you like. And if you like this video, as they always say, I watch all these videos, to give it a thumbs up, and like press the like button and subscribe to the channel, do all these things. If you do that, it's great. I'm happy for that. But my main goal of being here is to shed light on this subject of Ashtanga yoga. So until we meet again, I bid you namaskar, and this is the yogi's greeting, and it means I pay my salutations to the divinity within you, with all the divine charms of my mind and all the love and cordiality of my heart. So namaskar, and I'll be back again another time. Thank you so much.